Welcome back to Twin Tarot. I'm Gary, and this is not David. Well, David, I just recorded a video on Trump kidnapping President Maduro and his wife and attacking Venezuela. Um, what the hell is going on with this country? Um, so we recorded that video. It's Saturday, January 3rd. We recorded it just after 12 o'clock p.m. It's about quarter to one right now, and I'm just going to do a follow-up video on it. Um, so Trump did a military strike on Venezuela, attacked a military base where Maduro and his wife had residence. Um, Basically threw him on a helicopter, flew him out to a battleship, and they are now steaming on their way to the United States. Um, the generals in Venezuela are, I'm assuming the vice president is running the country, and the generals are supporting that. So if Trump's goal was regime change, he fell a little short of that. Dave was saying that Marco Rubio is trying to spin this as an attack on narco terrorism, and this is about fentanyl and drugs, and not about resources or regime change, which means it's exactly about resources and regime change. We just the reading we had, we are kind of looking at what's the energy around it, what's going to happen next. And then what's Congress going to do? And I want to do a little bit more on that because I really feel like if we don't stand up and have our voices heard now, this is just going to slide because there were no American lives lost. The military exercise or the military attack or operation was successful. No lives were lost. And so, there's probably a lot of people in the Republicans that'll be like totally okay with it. MAGA is going to have a bit more of a problem with this. MAGA and America First. Because Trump basically ran on the premise that he wasn't going to start any wars, he was going to end wars. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, is out on X and letting him have it, saying, this isn't what we signed up for. Boy, were we wrong. And it's just interesting how the truth bombs are finally starting to land on these morons that voted for Trump, that believed what he said. And it's Trump tells you just enough to let you take the final steps. He infers just enough, and then you run to whatever conclusion you want to run to. He never completely says what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. I think mostly because he doesn't know what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. He just has concepts of plans, and then when an opportunity shows up, he just goes ahead and takes advantage of it. So I just want to take an additional look at what's going to happen next. Now that the United States is it has now established a pattern of behavior where they're totally okay going into a sovereign nation, kidnapping their leader, and then putting them on trial locally. I'm going to say this very tongue-in-cheek, but I mean, as Americans, how would you feel if Maduro had sent a crack team of military guys on an operation and they kidnapped Trump and Melania, took him back to Venezuela, and was going to put him on trial? I mean, how would I feel about that? It's like, here you go, he's over there. We packed a lunch for him. Here's an overnight bag. Here's a green jacket that says, "I don't care, do you?" In case Melania gets cold. I'm in love with the idea of a sovereign nation coming in and doing that to Trump and Melania, but at the end of the day, that's not how things are done. And there are rules, there are laws, there are norms, and frankly, you need to follow these because there's consequences if you don't follow the rules and the norms and the laws. And Trump doesn't give a crap about consequences. So let's take a look. What are going to be the consequences in the United States and the consequences in the world? This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not very entertained. Okay, so what do we got? What are the consequences going to be for Trump as a result of his actions in Venezuela? Chariot. So the chariot's about moving forward. It's kind of like the victory, you know. He's going to take a victory lap. He's going to take a victory lap. See, it's all part of my big master plan. The Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. No one's going to imperialize the Americas unless it's an American. The challenge is the Knight of Cups. So yeah, he's going to take his victory lap with his war machine, but the challenge is he was going to end all the wars. He was going to not start wars. He was going to end wars, and he's not following through on what he was saying. I guess what he would say is, if he tried to spin it, is, well, I'm ending this war on drugs by taking out the drug leader. But the fact of the matter is, it's the cartels, not the leader of the nation. Now, he may not take action against the cartels, but he didn't take out cartels. He's taken out the leader of the country, the duly elected leader. Now, you could argue whether the election was free and fair, but he's going against his promise of peace. Energy underneath it is the world, and the world is watching. What is going to be the consequences of this? Because are you going to embolden some of these other groups to go ahead and start kidnapping world leaders throughout the world? You're saying it's okay if the United States does it. In the past, you got the death card. Okay, so what are the consequences? So in the past, he's justifying it because he's justifying it as drugs, saying fentanyl kills 70% of the Americans who overdose on fentanyl. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, yeah, but the fentanyl comes from Mexico, and you're not doing anything against those cartels. Venezuelan deals mostly in cocaine, and most of that goes to Europe. Boy, lots of major arcana on this. So what are the consequences? Current energy is temperance, where maybe it's time to seek a balance. Maybe this causes Congress to ease their hawkish stance or their unyielding support of Trump. Temperance is about balance and detoxification, calming things down. Consequences. Overarching energy is the Nine of Pentacles. Just the rich people. This could be the like the heads of industry and the oil companies. Hey, they're getting all their resources back. Hey, we're going to get our oil fields back. Venezuela nationalized the oil infrastructure that was put in place, and I'm sure the heads of these oil companies wanted their infrastructure back, and they wanted their oil back so they could make money. And J.D. Vance is already talking about, give us back the oil you stole. So this isn't about drugs. This is about money and oil. The lesson to be learned is the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, you took your short-term victory, and you're eyeballing all the resources that you can get if you can get a regime change. Consequences of Trump's action. It's reaping what you sow. If this is Congress, it's just like, okay, you got this without telling us. What are you going to try and do next? Or what actions can we take going forward? Outcome is the King of Swords, a harsh truth. That what I'm getting is he's going to take a victory lap, but what are the consequences of this? Are there going to be consequences? So with Congress, you know, uh, are there going to be proceedings that move forward? Um, because you said one thing, you did another. You put an end to a regime in the past. You said you were going to end wars. We have to rethink how we're supporting you because it looks like all you're doing at this is for money, and we need to see what actions we can take because the truth is out there. It's impacting the world. Yeah, I'm not getting a good feel that Congress is going to do much of anything on this. These feel like Trump cards. Trump and his little tech bros and oligarch buddies. That hey, in the short term, I don't think there's going to be any consequences, which is really depressing. But it's also very consistent with what Dave just threw, which is really disappointing. It's like, God damn it! Does this man get held accountable for anything? How's the world going to react? What are the consequences from the rest of the world, the rest of the nations in the world? Hermit, where do we go from here? Not happy with what has occurred, but there could be something in the future coming up. They're trying to seek a solution. They don't like their options, but there's an option that may be coming towards them. Energy underneath it, the devil. Just Trump's running roughshod, and there's nothing they can do to stop him right now. It's American allies. They're not necessarily enthusiastic of their praise. It's kind of a you really need to let justice prevail in these situations. That's a very light rebuke on the United States action. So, how's the rest of the world going to react? He's like, we're kind of chained to the allies. Our allies are chained to us, and the folks that are not our allies, they have to be careful too because they could be next, right? In the past, you got the Page of Pentacles. It's just to me, this is like holding ideals aloft. It's just we had basically there were rules and values that we used to follow. Maybe we were naive about it. So how are the international folks? The international folks are probably like, hey, you know what? There's norms that you should be following. Current energy is the King of Wands, but maybe it's time to take action. Actions need to be taken regarding this. But what actions? Are they going to do the same thing Trump did, or are they going to call him out? Overarching energy is the Queen of Swords, calling the truth out on what's happening here. Lesson to be learned is the Four of Pentacles. Trump's going to grab all the resources he can. And he's got all the power and he's got all the cards right now. I think even internationally, at least in the near term, there doesn't seem to be... They don't have a strategy to handle this yet. They need to figure out how they're going to handle it, and they're not happy with the options they currently have. It must be nice to live in a consequence-free environment, right? Good Lord. This is a deeply unsatisfying reading. I'm going to tell my mom. Maybe she should get her wooden spoon and head out to the White House and get Donald a couple of good whacks where the feathers are thinnest. Usually restored order in our household growing up. Oh my. Will this all work out in the end? Are we going to be better because of this? It doesn't feel like it. I mean, is everything going to be okay? Everything going to be all right here? That's not the card I was hoping. You got your Emperor. That's just really yes or no. But just don't believe everything. It's the Emperor is in charge, but it's his actions. What he says and what his actions are not congruent, and people are realizing that what he says and what he's done and what he does are not in alignment. Dinosaur is acting recklessly, just charging forth without a care of the consequences. And right now, everyone's happy. He still has the support of his base. It seems like he's still has the support of his base. Hey, we're doing it for our family, and Janethan is looking out for our family members. I mean, God, that's a real mixed reading. Are we gonna? Is everything gonna be okay? I don't know. It's these two cards don't give me that feeling. You've got a dictator that an emperor that's using crazy logic, acting rashly, allegedly to make everyone happy. This is almost like this is more of a Trump. Trump? It's just more of a reading on Trump's actions. This is. I'm not getting anything as far as are we going to be okay with this? That everything's going to be all right. Sorry, trying to be optimistic, but right now I guess it's Wheel of Fortune time. I just don't know. It's too early to tell. That's kind of what you're going to get out of this reading. Sorry, I was kind of hoping to give you something a little more juicy or a little more optimistic or upbeat, but I'm not seeing in the cards. What I'm seeing is he's going to get away with it, at least in the short term. He took a gamble. It seems to have paid off, and it may have stalled out his lame duck status, at least temporarily. It's crazy what's going on here. So, hey man, for all you out there, I'm sorry what's going on. Do the best for self-care. There's going to be no King's protest coming up soon enough. Let me take a look. Stand by. Doesn't seem to be anything on the calendar right now. I imagine that's going to change pretty quickly. Anyways, crazy times we're living in, folks. This is not what we voted for. And for those who did vote for it, this probably isn't what they were expecting. Thanks a lot, folks. Some people just take a while to learn the lesson, right? So, anyways, hang in there. Do the best you can. It's going to be a crazy day. The next several days are going to be full of news. Especially got protests going on in Iran, and Trump's threatening the Iranian government if they kill protesters that the United States is going to go in there and take care of business. For someone that wants a Nobel Peace Prize, he's sure taking a very unusual approach towards getting it, right? Anyways, so thank you for watching. Totally appreciate you checking in. If you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell. YouTube likes to clear out their coffers every once in a while, so make sure your subscription status is active. If for no other reason, when we do a live stream, we only keep the live streams open to folks that are subscribed to the channel. So if you want to be participating in real time in the live stream, have to have a subscription. It's basically to keep trolls out. That's why we do it. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us, and we truly appreciate you. I want to give a special shout out to Dark Cat, also known as Kathy Lynn, who made an extraordinarily generous contribution to our channel. Thank you so much, Dark Cat. Not David appreciates your title. You've been a very consistent supporter of the channel, and David, I truly appreciate you. and we'll give you a special card. There you go. Ah, the fool card, you fool. Well, 2026 is a new journey, isn't it? Um, yeah, Dark Cat says, thank you for making the first craptastic year of the second Orange regime much more fun and informative. I also love roasters and have a Mazda Miata MX-5 RF. Happy 2026. Thank you, Kathy Liv. I appreciate it. Dave and I have both had Miatas. I currently have a 94. David had a 2007, I think, and he had his Fiat, and that was basically the Fiat version of the Mazda Miata. Now he's got a Porsche, so he's going uptown. You and I will stick with the Mazdas, and that's what I got. And a card for the rest of us. Three of Swords, heartbreak, betrayal. You know, the United States. I grew up thinking the United States was the cowboys with the white hats. You know, I guess we're still the cowboys, but I'll tell you what, as I've gotten older, I've got a lot more sympathy and empathy and compassion for the Indians. So we have to do better. And we'll start this on the run up to November, and we're going to change this. Anyways, folks, have a great day. Bye.